Hey gang, so we are to perpendicular bisectors. So again, this week's lessons, they're all super easy. So I'm only going to do part of it with you because the rest, I think you probably kind of know it. Okay, so here we go. The locus of points that are equidistant from 2 points, A and B, is and so when you're looking at something here and you've got 2 points and they're equidistant apart, we call this point here, this line, the perpendicular bisector. And you probably remember that from geometry. So perpendicular bisector. Here's a couple of things to know about perpendicular bisector. It's perpendicular to the segment AB. So in this situation, this whole segment here is perpendicular. It passes through the midpoint of AB. So the perpendicular bisector, bisect means to divide it in half. Perpendicular means it makes that 9-degree angle. Okay, so for this one, we're not going to have much trig. It's going to be straight up geometry and a boatload of algebra. You're about to test your Algebra 1 knowledge. All right, if 2 lines are perpendicular, something on there, 2 lines are perpendicular, when you multiply the slopes, remember, you get the negative reciprocal, or you get -1. So if I give you y equals 3/2 x, and I ask you the perpendicular line, you would take the slope, which is 3/2, and you would say y equals, flip it, 2/3x, and switch it. So it would be -2/3. TikTok fans, flip the switch. That's what I always tell my Algebra 1 kiddos. If we're going to do perpendicular, we're going to flip the switch. So we're going to flip it and switch it. So over here, I'm going to write flip and switch. Right. I just flipped the switch. Okay, example 1. Find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of the line segment with endpoints 2, 2, 3, and 4, 7. I'm visual, guys, so I'm going to be drawing a lot on this. So I'm going to call this A, and I'm going to say this point is 2, 3. And this point is 4, 7. I'm going to call this B right here. I want to know, find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of the line segment. I'm going to put A and B. Okay, if I'm going to find the perpendicular bisector, first off I need to find what the slope is. So let's find the slope. I'm going to call this AB. So the slope of line AB is going to be 7 minus 3 over 4 minus 2. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. So that means the slope is 2. I need the perpendicular bisector, so I need the line, this right here. I'm going to call that M. The slope of this line, because it's perpendicular, I'm going to flip and switch it. So I'm going to say the slope of perpendicular, this is 2. Remember, this is like 2/1. Flip it and make it 1/2. Switch it, make it negative. So I know the slope of this line right here. I'll call this line L. I need a point on L. In order to write the equation of a line, I need a point and the slope. Well, the point I'm going to use, because it's a perpendicular bisector, is the midpoint. To find the midpoint, remember we kind of take the average. So we're going to add up the x's, 2 plus 4, and divide by 2. And then add up the y's, which is 3 plus 7, and divide by 2. Okay, so let's get that ordered pair. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, equation of a line. I need a point and a slope. I got the point, I got the slope. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say the slope of the line is -1/2, and it goes through the point 3, 5. That satisfies this right here. Equation of a line. Y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. And I'm just going to plug in what I know. Y stays with y, so y is 5, equals the slope, which is -1/2 times x minus 3. I'm going to simplify that mathematically, and I'm going to tell you what I got. I ended up getting y equals -1/2 x, which you knew that when you did distributing there. And then I got plus 13/2. Okay, now that one I did all the way. I won't do that on all of them. Okay, number 2, find the equation of, oh, I can't read that. Find the equation of the points that are equidistant from the 2 points A, which is -1, 1, and B, which is the point 3, 3. Okay, so here's what I did. Because I got to draw it out. I don't know. I can never do it just by looking. I got to like have that visual. I'm just going to say, and I don't really care if I'm accurate on where I'm at on the graph. I'm just going to say, here's A and here's B. Find the equation of the points that are equidistant from A and B. So in other words, the midpoint, I'll call it M, of the midpoint of those two. Well, it wants the equation. So if I'm doing the equation of the line, I'm really just finding the perpendicular bisector. I'm going to do exactly what I did up above. I'm going to find the midpoint. I've got 2 points, find the midpoint. I'm going to find the slope, and then I'm going to use my formula y minus y1 equals x times x1. Okay? So I'm going to work 2. I'm going to find the slope of AB. That's going to be 3 minus 1 over 3 minus a minus 1. So that's 2 over 4, so I'm going to get 1/2. I'm going to check my math. Yep, and then I'm going to flip it and switch it. So the perpendicular slope, flip 1/2, it would be 2. Switch it, it'll be -1. Okay, to write the equation of a line, I need a point in the slope. I've got the slope now. The slope of the perpendicular line is -2. But I need an ordered pair to use on that. Well, I'm going to find the midpoint. So the midpoint is going to be 3 minus 1 over 2 and 3 plus 1 over 2. This is 3 plus a -1. I just threw a negative there. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 over 2 is 1. And 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. All right, so I've got the ordered pair. You're going to do the math there. You're going to do y minus 2 equals -2 times x minus 1. And I got y equals 2x plus 4. And I solved it. All right. On to the next one. This is probably going to be a pretty short video, too. There's not much to it. Okay, we got a thunderstorm. This one's actually a pretty good little IB question here. Okay, so a thunderstorm, you hear thunder after you see the lightning strike. 2 friends who live near each other are watching the same thunderstorm and heard the thunder at the same time. This means that they must be equidistant from where the lightning struck. If a Newman's house is 5 or 9 kilometers south, 4 kilometers east of the beach, and Boonstree's house is 8 kilometers south and 7 kilometers west of the beach, where did the lightning strike? All right, the biggest thing I can offer you on this one is draw it out. So let's draw a graph. On this one, I did kind of draw it out. I didn't exactly like get super accurate. I just kind of needed a visual. North, east, south, and west. And it said that a Newman's house was 9 kilometers south, so 9 south, and 4 kilometers east. So it was like over 4 and down 9. So I just kind of said this was over 4 and down 9. Now I'll call that A for a Newman's house. And then it said that the other Boonstree's house is 8 kilometers south and 7 kilometers west. So we go over 7 and down 8. So I'm just going to say it's here. And I'm going to put a B here for Boonstree's. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He was 7 west and 8 east. So if I'm going west, I'm going negative, and then down is negative. This was positive and negative. So I'm going to connect them. And what I need, lightning struck, they both heard it. I need to know what this midpoint is. And again, my graph is not to scale, so this might actually be something negative. It might be negative, negative. I don't know. It's just where. And then I'm going to draw the perpendicular bisector, because where did the lightning strike? I want to know that coordinate right there, right? And so I want the equation. If on plus 1, where did the lightning strike? You know what? When I worked this one, y'all, I found the equation of the line of where it's struck, but I'm kind of looking at that problem. I don't know that they're actually asking that. We'll work it that way. Okay, let's find the midpoint. Where did it strike? So we're going to do the midpoint equals, we're going to do 4 plus negative 7 over 2. And we're going to do negative 9 plus negative 8 over 2. So it's going to strike, or the midpoint is at negative 3, 2, negative 17, 2. All right. I did convert those over into decimals. Sorry, y'all. I just never realized I wasn't on there. I did convert those to decimals. So I said that it was at negative 1.5. It was just a little easier to work with. And negative 8.5. So it was negative. So that just means my graph probably should have been shifted a little bit this way. It's all good. We're just going to work with it. Okay, so that's the midpoint. Now, if I want to go ahead and write the equation of this line right here, I need to know the slope of this line. So let's do the slope of AB. That would be negative 9 minus a minus 8 over 4 minus a negative 7. So that would be negative 1 over 11. Flip it and switch it to get the slope of this line. So the slope of the perpendicular line would be a positive 11. You're going to use this point and this slope to write the equation of, I'll call it L1, to write the equation of L1. You're going to use the formula y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. Here's your point. Here's your slope. Plug it in. I got y equals 11x plus 8 as my final answer. Almost all of these come from straight from cognitive homework, y'all. Okay, pause your video if you need to finish that one. Otherwise, we're moving on. Find the gradient. Gradient slope of the perpendicular bisector of the line segment with the endpoints negative 1, 2, and 0, 0. I'm going to leave that one with you. Figure you can do it. I'm going to say the slope of the perpendicular bisector I got as 1/2. Okay, number 5. Point M is given by 0, 7, and the line joining AB as the equation that. Find the equation of the line perpendicular to AB that passes through M. Okay. Point M is given by 0, negative 7. So I'm just going to come down here and say M is 0, negative 7. And the line joining A and B has the equation of this. So the line joining A to B has that equation. Find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to AB that passes through M. So here's M over here at 0, negative 7. Line perpendicular to AB. So perpendicular, it's going to go through here like that. We'll call this line L1. I want to know the equation. There we go. The equation of this line right here. I know the equation of this line, but I want this one. Well, if I know this equation of this line, which is negative x minus y plus 3 equals 0, in order to write the equation of the line, you have to have a point and a slope. I have the point. M is at 0, negative 7. But do I know the slope of this line right here? I do not. Can I find it? Yes. Solve this for y. Find the slope. Flip it and switch it. You'll have your slope. Once you get your slope, y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. Plug in 0 for x, negative 7 for y. Plug in your slope. Bam, you got it. I ended up getting y equals 1x minus 7. All right, on to the next one. All right, number 6. Okay, I am going to work number 6 with you because I had a little bit of a whiteout reaction on number 6. It has a lot more involved with it than I realized. This is probably the hardest one on your homework or on this video that you're going to do. Okay, so we've got 2 points A and B are given by A is negative 1A, B is at B5. The equation of the perpendicular bisector of AB is given by y equals 2x minus 3, find the values of A and B. And I know I had an extra little A right there. Just mark that off. So here's what I did. I drew this out. Let's put that in there. So I drew this out and I said, I'm going to call that A. I just had to draw it because if I can see it, I can usually figure it out. So A was at negative 1A and B was at B5. We want the equation of the perpendicular bisector of AB. So the equation that comes down here, the perpendicular bisector, is y equals 2x minus 3. That's what they gave me. I do know that this is the perpendicular bisector. I don't know that equation right there, but I do know that, or I don't know that point. I do know the equation. So I have a lot of unknowns because I don't know those ordered pairs. I have a lot in my brain, though, that I do know. So I'm going to kind of talk us through it. If I could figure out the midpoint, I know the slope is 2, and so I could use that midpoint to help me find these 2 points. So let's do the midpoint first. I know we're not going to get an exact number, but let's just find the midpoint of AB. Okay, so that's going to be, I'm going to start here, B plus negative 1 over 2, and then 5 plus A over 2. Okay, that's the midpoint. I'm going to clean it up just a little bit. I'm going to say B minus 1 over, just to make it a little easier. B minus 1 over 2, comma, and I'm going to put the A first. A plus 5 over 2. Okay, so I know that's the midpoint. Now, something else that I know the equation of this line, and I know that the midpoint passes through that equation. So I know the y value of the midpoint is this, and I know the x value of that midpoint is this. Got to really kind of visualize that. So I'm going to use my y equals 2x minus 3. I'm going to plug the midpoint into this equation. So the y value is a plus 5 over 2 equals 2 times b minus 1 over 2 minus 3. Simplify that. So a plus 5 over 2 equals, the 2's cancel out, and I get b minus 1 minus 3. I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So that'll give me a plus 5 equals, I'm going to do a couple of things here at once. Negative 1 and negative 3 are going to actually be negative 4, right? If I multiply 2 times b, that would be 2b. And 2 also by negative 4, that would be negative 8. I'm going to move the variables to one side, and I'm going to say a minus 2b equals, and I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, negative 13. This didn't get me a whole lot, but it does give me an equation with a and b. Okay, so I know that that midpoint, this would help me solve that, right? I know that right there. Let's find the slope of this line. Again, it's not going to give us a lot, but it's going to give us a couple of equations to kind of play with. So the slope of AB. Well, the slope would be 5 minus A over B minus a minus 1. Okay, that's the slope. The thing is, I know the slope of this line too, right? If the slope of this line right here is 2, what's the slope of AB equal? The slope perpendicular, we'll put it here, would be, flip it and switch it, negative 1 over 2. So I know the slope of this line is negative 1 over 2. And I know, well, sort of know the slope. So could I say this is equal to negative 1 over 2? Okay, just like we solved this equation, let's solve this equation. So we're going to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 5 minus a times 2. So 5 minus a times 2 equals negative 1 times b plus 1. I'm going to simplify that. Let's see, that'll be 10 minus 2a equals negative b minus 1. Just like I did over here, I'm going to move the a's to one side. So negative 2a, I'm going to move the b over, plus b equals, and I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, negative 11. All right, here we go. I've got 2 equations and 2 unknowns. Do you remember how to solve those? So we've done a couple of things in class. In Algebra 2, it's a system. 2 equations, 2 unknowns. It's a system of equations. Solve it. In IB Math, we learned it as a system, but we also learned matrices. We learned that we could put that as a matrix. I'm going to do it the algebra way. For me, it was kind of easier just to do the algebra. So I'm going to write this over here. I'm going to do a minus 2b equals negative 13. And I'm going to do negative 2a plus b equals negative 11. Now, you could do substitution. You guys are really good at substitution. You could solve this equation for b and substitute it back in. Solve it that way. You can multiply the top by the number 2, and your a's would cancel out. And that's actually what I'm going to do. Only I'm going to use a different color pen, which has vanished. I don't know where my pink pen went. Pink pen, where did you go? Okay, you're not around. I'm going to use green. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the top by 2. And remember the 2 is going to hop all the way across. So 2 times a would be 2a. 2 times negative 2 would be negative 4b equals 2 times negative 13 will be negative 26. I'm going to draw the line here. Now, I'm going to draw a line over this because I'm not using that anymore. I changed it. Negative 2 and 2 cancel out. And I end up with negative 3b equals negative 37. Divide both sides by negative 3. And so b equals 37 over 3. All right, that was one of my questions. What was b? Now, you're going to do the same thing with 37 over 3. Plug it back in, it doesn't matter which equation, and solve for a. I'm just going to go back to that first one. So a minus 2, but instead of b, I'm substituting this in. 37 over 3 equals negative 13. A minus, what did I get here? 74 over 3 equals negative 13. Add 74 over 3 to both sides, and I got this. A equals positive 35 over 3. And there it is. Not pretty numbers at all. That is the hardest one on here. There are so many steps. There's another one coming up sort of the same way, but it goes a lot faster. This one had a lot of moving parts on it, y'all. All right, go back and watch that one if you need to. Okay, the equation of 2 perpendicular lines are given by y equals 2x minus 1 and y equals, okay, this says negative 12x. Sorry, y'all, this is another typo. This should be negative 1/2 x plus 4. The point of intersection of these two lines is the midpoint M. So let's just do this. Let's just draw this right here. We've got a line, and the midpoint is at M. Okay, and so it's basically saying that when you intersect these two lines, we're going to do this. They're going to look like this. These two lines intersect. The equation of two perpendicular lines are given by y. I'm just going to write, I don't know which one's which. I'm just going to write 2x minus 1, and this one will be y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. There's my two equations. The point of intersection of these two lines is M. Of the line segment, here we go. So here's A. which is at A, comma 0, and B, which is at 0, comma B. Find the values of A and B. Same thing as above, little bit of a twist. Okay, give you a second to look at it. Maybe you're thinking, okay, let's just kind of say what we know. We know that the slope of this line right here is -1/2. We know that the slope of this is 2. Those are perpendicular lines. I know the endpoints. And so if I could figure out where this line and this line intersected right here at M, if I knew that intersection, it really wouldn't be that hard of a problem. So here's what I did. There are so many different ways to figure out the intersection. What I did was I plugged it into my calculator because I'm like hoping that it's an easy intersection to see. Anyway, so I plugged it in here. I'm going to go to graph. Okay, there it is. It looks like it's at 2, 1, 2, 3, maybe 2, 4. I'm not sure. So I'm not certain where it's at. So I'm going to go to second table and I'm going to look. Oh, there it is right there. Oh, wow, it landed right on it. 2, 3. Over 2, up 3. So I'm going to look at it again. Over 2, up 3. Bam, there it is. So that means they intersected M, which is at 2, 3. So the midpoint is at 2, 3. Okay, this one's a whole lot easier because I know the endpoints right here. So the midpoint equals, that's an A. So A plus 0 over 2. And 0 plus B over 2. That's the midpoint. Only thing is, I already know where it equals. It equals 2, 3. So you're going to do two things. Set this up and say equals 2. Set this up and say equals 3. And that's going to give you what A is. And I got A was something. I got that A was 4. And I got that B was 6. Again, you're going to take A plus 0 over 2 equals 2, and 0 plus B over 2 equals 3. Solve that, and it should be pretty straightforward. All right, pause your video if you need to. I'm moving on. 2 points, A and B, are lie on line L. Okay, I'm just going to draw it. Do you have to draw them out? No, but it sure does make my life easier when I can see it. 2, 6, and this is L1. Okay. What is the equation of line L2, which is perpendicular and passes through the midpoint? Oh, my gosh, y'all. Y'all can do this one. I'll give you the final answer. Okay. So this is line L2. It passes through the midpoint M. What is the equation of L2, which is perpendicular to L1 and passes through the midpoint? So find the midpoint. Bam. The midpoint, that'll be your point. You also need to know the slope of the line. Find the slope of this, flip it and switch it. When I did the slope, I got the perpendicular slope as -1/5. When I wrote my equation, y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1, using my midpoint and my slope, I got y equals -1/5 x plus 19/5. All right, pause your video if you need to finish that one. And we are done, y'all. That is the notes. Oh, I think that's like one of the shortest notes sections I've done. Thanks for watching, y'all.